My favorite game to chase in the state of Michigan would be grouse and woodcock. So I love upland hunting, chasing bird dogs. After that, probably turkey hunting, and then deer is right in there as well. Most exotic game I've ever taken. Wow, that is a good question. I guess here in the state of Michigan, a woodcock is fairly exotic, I guess, for around here. This year I caught a sturgeon, so that was the most exotic thing I've caught this year. Ooh. Favorite wild game to eat is probably venison tenderloin, and you can cook it any which way you want, but for me, a little marinade, a little grill, and you're good to go. The worst wild game I ever had, and squirrel is not bad, but I was at a wild game dinner one time and there was squirrel that was on a spit, and I thought, boy, somebody really knows what they're doing. They took their time and did this right. Worst thing I've ever had in my mouth. My go-to gun for big game is a .270. I shot probably my first deer with that. I shot an elk with that. I love that caliber. It's a great caliber for Michigan. It's a great caliber for out west. That's my go-to caliber. Who taught me to hunt? My dad actually taught me to hunt. We have a cabin up in northern Michigan, and a lot of those guys up there are the ones that kind of introduced me to big game hunting, small game hunting, and so my dad and some of his buddies are the ones that taught me. Wow, my dream hunting partner. I guess I have to answer probably my kids. My kids are my dream hunting partner. My two boys were able to shoot a deer. This year was one of their first deer. Last year was their first for the other one, and that was just awesome. Dream hunting location, I know a lot of people like, they think of those African safaris and whatever else, but for me, I guess if I'm going to be out of state, I'd rather be chasing elk probably in the Colorado Rockies. I've done that a handful of times and that is spectacular. But something that's realistic that I can do every year is go to the UP and chase grouse. Well, my favorite hunting mishap and the elk story are all rolled into one. I was elk hunting in Colorado. It was the last day of a 5-day hunt, and we saw some elk in front of us. We kind of circled around to get in front of them. The short version of the story, they were in a thicket and I was sneaking along the edge, and a cow stepped out and winded me, and all these elk came out of this thicket, and I heard them crashing behind me, and I turned around just in time to see a spike bull elk coming right at me. I didn't have time to dive or anything, so I just kind of leaned to get out of the way, and the elk was coming on a line where it was almost going to hit me. And I actually had the time to think, well, he might graze up against my leg. And right as he got right in front of me, he veered left, put his head down, and came through the last bush. And the last thing I saw was his forehead coming up, and we went forehead to forehead with a spike bull elk. And I flew back through the air. It cut me above my eye and below my eye. And I still wish to this day I would have kept picking at that scar, because it would have been really cool to have a scar from an elk. Well, see, there's a difference between a good hunter and a good killer. I'm a very good killer. I'm not a great hunter. And the difference is that Jordan and Gabe put in the time. They scout. They do all the stuff. They put in the food plots. They do all the hard work. But they always wait for the perfect situation and the perfect deer. So they are very good hunters. When they get me in a situation where there's a deer, a grouse, whatever it is that we're hunting, I'm going to get the job done. But they are a better hunter than me. Spirit animal. I'll go with the grouse, just because they're the gray ghost of the woods. Boy, it's hard to beat the old classic Fred Bear, Ted Nugent, that kind of stuff. It's fun. Most opening days of the bow season, we're on the road covering somebody else hunting, and no matter where I'm at in the state of Michigan, if I'm driving through the dark to meet so-and-so at such and such a place, those opening days in the state of Michigan, you can always find Fred Bear on the radio. Well, there's been several shots of people mooning the camera, so I don't know if that's unusual. I did have a buddy that had a guy went out in front of the trail camera, set up a lawn chair, and was reading the newspaper in front of a trail camera. Well, I wouldn't say I'm a celebrity because I don't have anybody for that. So yes, I do gut all my own deer, drag them out, and that's a big part of the hunt. I should wear makeup on camera, but I don't. Wow. Favorite movie? It's kind of a tie between Casablanca and Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. We'll see you next week in Michigan's Out of Doors.